Hey, I want to welcome you all here today. I am so excited to have you here at the Finance Checkmate Masterclass for Entrepreneurs. We are going to, in this next hour, eliminate the 4 obstacles that stand between you and your financially successful business with peace of mind. I'm Pam Pryor, and I could not be happier to have you here. I hope you've popped in where you're from around the world so that we can make sure that all of us can see what a fantastic group we've got going here. We have really enjoyed putting this together for you and know you are going to get a lot out of it. So what are we going to do today? I'm going to jump right in. We're going to show you how you can make the ultimate shift from knowing that there's something limiting your financial success, not quite being able to move the needle in your business, and being kind of sure that the other financial shoe is going to drop somewhere, to building a business that's going to lead to personal financial freedom. That's why we've built these businesses. We're entrepreneurs and we want them to lead to personal financial freedom, however we define that. And we all may define that slightly differently. So here's the thing. I need you to stay with me to the end, because within this webinar, you are going to absolutely learn 4 things you can do to overcome these obstacles. So we're throwing a little bonus in. If you stick with us till the end, you've showed up. Let's make the most of it. And you're going to get a free cash forecast planner and all of the instructions on how to use it. And we mentioned that planner in here in the webinar. I want you to be able to get it and be able to use it starting today. So here we go. Here are the typical notes that you're going to get at any webinar. But look, you've showed up here today. I need you to know that puts you ahead of 97% of the entrepreneurs out there. In fact, I want you to take a minute and think about some goal that you've accomplished in the last year. And when you think about the goal, something you've succeeded at, where you said, I'm going to do this, and over a period of time, you did it. And I'll bet that when you came to those moment-by-moment decision points where, say it was a weight goal and you had to decide between eating the chocolate candy bar or eating the healthy bar, if you were putting money away for a vacation and you had to decide between buying that really fun, fancy piece of tech or putting that money maybe in a savings account, you chose the savings account. If you wanted to spend more time with family and you had the choice between walking along, holding your kid's hand while you're reading your phone, or putting the phone away and turning around and facing your kid and having an eyeball-to-eyeball conversation, when it came to making those choices, when it came to the hard bits, you chose the healthy item, the kid, and the money savings, okay? This puts you ahead of 97% of the people out there because you showed up for the hard bits. You showed up for finances today. So let's get a full return on the time you're investing with us. I promise you I'm going to make good use of it. So let's turn off all the distractions, put your phone in airplane mode, turn down the volume, and let's get rolling. So why are you even here? You've seen something that interested you. And I've got a pretty good guess that it's one of 3 major reasons. The first one is you're motivated to really drive financial growth in your business without constantly feeling like the other shoe's going to drop. Maybe a second reason is you're kind of intrigued by the thought that you might be able to be a successful business owner with financial confidence, but not need to go understand and learn bookkeeping and accounting jargon. Reason 3 might be that you're actually excited to finally be making financially confident business decisions. A lot of us have done and led by our gut, and it's gotten us a long way, but there's always been a lot of risk and question. So here are the 3 reasons that you may be here. Yours may be slightly different, but do me a favor. Drop in the chat here a number 1, a number 2, or a number 3. Just key the number in the chat on which one of these particular reasons is driving you to be here with us today. And if it's not one of these 3, just type in other, because there are all sorts of good reasons to be here. But either way, we are going to unlock the potential in your business today. And despite that, no matter which of these reasons you're here for, whatever your motivation is, I fully support you. You are here, and any entrepreneur that shows up for finances gets my full support for life. So who am I anyway, doing all this yabbering behind the scenes? I am a family person. I have a family of puppies, as you can see. You may hear my cat in the background. You might occasionally hear my dogs barking during this webinar. If you do, it's probably the little one there that's white that's starting the barking, and then the others are joining in for fun. That's my threesome. They're my office staff. The three in the middle are my kids. Everything we do for our kids, as you guys all know who have them, and that they are my why right there. And the other half of my why is in the third picture on the right, and that is my wife and I celebrating our wedding now 6 years ago after being together for 30 years. So this is the crew that I do everything for right here on this page. Professionally, why do I have a right to come here and talk to you about this stuff? So my history is that I spent 10 years in the Fortune 50 as a financial leader at DuPont. I spent 15 years as a controller and CFO in companies that were $300 million and more. They were owned publicly. They were private equity businesses. And I'm a best-selling author and a sought-after speaker on the topic of finances in businesses. But for the last 6 years, I have been doing this exclusively with entrepreneurs. And the entrepreneurs here that you see on this page may be some who you know. So I wanted to throw this up here so you can see that the insights and inputs that I'm getting into how financials need to be built are not industry specific. They are not size specific. They are not gender specific. They are not anything specific. We have developed a process and a plan that works for entrepreneurs no matter what. And here are some people who have been with us one-on-one and have proven out our concepts over time. So right now, we have $100 million in revenue under our CFO one-on-one services. 5 of those clients are in the Inc. 500 fastest growing companies and have been in the last 2 or 3 years. I am blessed to only work with projects that really light me up and say no to the projects that drain me. And I want you to take a minute to think about, can you imagine having that same level of financial confidence in your business to only have to say yes to the projects that light you up? Think about that for a minute and what it might feel like, because that's where we're heading with getting financial confidence in your business. So let's talk about this for a minute. We don't know a whole lot about what's going to happen in the future. We are in a current situation here at some point. So we're sitting somewhere in a current situation. We don't know exactly what's going to happen 12, 24, or 36 months down the road. But we do know that we're either going to be winning at what we're trying to do or losing at what we're trying to do. And so we need to really think about what gets us to one of those two places. And it's interesting because if we tend down towards losing 24 to 36 months from now, it's because we allow things to drift. We just let things kind of go on the way they are, and over time they start to drift. We don't have the energy to keep them up. We get further and further behind. I think that's happened to all of us on our businesses at some point. But it accelerates as we go further and further out in the future. The kind of cool thing is the tendency towards winning is also accelerated. Even though you may feel that the steps you're taking today, the decisions, the actions you're making today aren't really getting you that far, you are starting to, as they say, roll that, well, in this case, roll the snowball up the hill. And it's getting bigger and bigger with more and more momentum. What really, though, happens to most businesses, the 97% we're talking about, is we are working in and on our businesses day in and day out. And 24 to 36 months from now, we may be at exactly the same place we are now, having gone through this roller coaster that we all have come to know and I'll say maybe love a little bit. But the key here is that right now, you'll notice that at the beginning or at the very end of this, when we get out to our 12, 24, or 36 month march, it's a big jump to get from one line to the other. So it's going to be a lot riskier, a lot harder, and a lot costlier to do it 12, 24, 36 months from now. But if we go ahead and do it right now, if we choose to jump on the winning line right now and make the small changes we need to make to actually get those first decisions and actions heading in the right direction, then we're going to be able to ride that curve upwards. And in fact, we'll even be able to identify some opportunities to accelerate it even more. So I really want to credit you for being here, because what you're doing in being here, facing one of the toughest things for entrepreneurs to face, is you're making a decision to go upwards towards winning instead of just kind of letting your finances drift and fall off as you move along. So I'm very, very excited that you're here. And my first question to you is, how long are you prepared to wait to jump that line? You've proven that you're not willing to wait anymore, because you're here to get 4 very specific things you can do today to get yourself up on that winning line. So congrats on that. Let's get rolling. So what's the promise here? The promise with what we've been able to do with our one-on-one clients that we're now going to be able to share with you is to help you build a business that leads to personal financial freedom. And building that business means you're no longer just kind of providing services, maybe as a side hustle, maybe even full-time, just to sell some stuff and sort of hope that your bank balance grows over time. Instead, you are ready to begin to see and treat your finances as the single most important contributor to your success. And indeed, they are the single most important contributor to your success. Cash is the fuel to your business. So let's go ahead and get a handle on it. So let's talk about something we call the 67% business owner. If we think of our business in 3 pillars, there's kind of the marketing, which is sort of the sexy stuff. It's where we get to do the fun, polished graphics and get stuff out there in front of people. We may not know much about it, or you may be a marketer, but it's kind of fun and sexy. We pay attention to it. We know we need it. It's how we get clients into our business, customers to buy our product. Then the second pillar is operations. And we put 33, 34% into that. That's really pretty easy to do for us, because for each one of us in our business, it's our special sauce. It's what we know, it's what we love, and it's how we service those clients or customers that come into our business. Then there's this other little third called finance that we tend, unfortunately, to ignore. Now, one of the cool things is I have spent a lot of time with both my existing clients, with prospects, and on stages in front of thousands of entrepreneurs. And we've been able to identify 4 very specific obstacles to entrepreneurs getting a handle on their finances. And that's what we're going to address here. We're going to address those obstacles. What are the 4 categories that keep you away from really wrapping your hands around this, and bust them wide open and give you tools to make sure that you can step past them by the end of this webinar. So we remember them with this acronym SOFT. It's the only way I can remember things anymore. It's with a hint. So let's talk about what that stands for. Your resistance, my resistance, every entrepreneur's resistance to get involved and really understand their finances will fall under one or more of 4 categories: shame, overwhelm, fear, or time. And we're going to go through these one at a time and give you the best way to overcome them. So here we go. Let's jump in on the toughest, the most obvious, and the one that we all share: overcoming shame. So there's a couple things we're going to do here that are kind of fun and easy to do. But in addition to that, we are going to annihilate our limiting beliefs about money being bad. And we're going to redefine our enough, our definition of enough. What are you talking about, Pam? So I want you to take a minute here. I'm going to actually count to 15 seconds here so that you can think about this. But I want you to fill in this blank. I'm so embarrassed about my finances because blank. Go ahead and fill that in your head. If you want to drop it in the comments, go ahead. Feel free. We'd love to see some examples of what it is. Okay, you've done that now. I have a secret for you. Whether you wrote it in the comments or not, whether you wrote it down on a piece of paper or not, every single person on this call just filled in that sentence. I want you to think about that for a minute. You are not alone. And remember, I said I've talked to thousands, I've worked with hundreds. Everyone has filled in this blank, period. So no matter what room you are in, no matter what mastermind you're attending, no matter what event you're out, traffic and conversion, social media marketing, South by Southwest, In every room and at every table you're sitting at, every single person has filled out this sentence. And it could be, I'm so embarrassed about my finances because I filed bankruptcy, because I don't know my bank balance, because I wasted money on training. Who knows what it could be, but it is there. So my favorite is I've wasted money on training, which is why I'm making so sure that's not happening to you today, because I have wasted plenty of money on training. So let's do me a favor here, just for the duration of this webinar. We're going to put a big yellow X through shame, and we're going to put it to the side, because I need you to promise me during this conversation, you will not allow finances or the shame about finances to be the kryptonite to your business success. You have a superpower. You have a desire, and I would argue an obligation to get that out in the world. And therefore, we need to make sure that this particular issue doesn't prevent you from doing that. So right now, we're just going to stick this on the shelf if you are worried that your I'm so embarrassed by is worse than anybody else's. I promise yours is not the worst in the room or at the party or on the earth or in the group of entrepreneurs that are out there doing this hard work. Now let's talk about limiting beliefs in our internal thermostat. And at the end of this, I'm going to have an exercise for you and an example that you can put to work today to change things for you. You may have heard that we generally have an internal set point, as it's called, for our concept of what we need to live with. And let's just say it's just like this thermostat and we're set at 70. The thing about this thermostat is all of the beliefs that have set what our income limit should be is everything that we've been taught. And the biggest chunk of it was taught to us when we had no control over what was going in to our muscle memory, into our subconscious. It was between the years of 0 and 7, when we were totally and utterly reliant on whoever it was that was keeping us alive and fed. And if you're here, you were alive and fed. We were totally reliant on them, so all we could do was let everything they said or do come on in without us having the ability to filter it. So almost every idea we have about everything, but in this particular case about money, was generated in those first 7 years with us having no control over it. So they may or may not be actually our beliefs, but let's look at some of what actually got into us. Here's some typical statements. Money doesn't grow on trees. That's highway robbery. We're not made of money anytime you asked for something. We got to tighten our belts if it was time to eat hamburger instead of steak for a little bit. I don't have 2 dimes to rub together. They were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Money is the root of all evil. That's the biggie that we all heard, right? Money is the root of all evil. So know that this stuff got into you, just like when you were older and you learned how to drive, or you learned how to brush your teeth, or you learned how to walk. All those things that got in as muscle memory are embedded in there now, and you don't get to tear them apart unless you consciously work on changing this internal thermostat. And that's a very tall order. So I want to suggest a slightly different twist on that in order to sort of trick your subconscious and change your internal limit without changing your internal limit. So ask a question here. We got a piggy bank floating in water. And what this is sort of indicating is that we always have just about enough money to have enough, to have what we need to have. And if you're like me, or if you're like some other people, anytime you start to get over that enough amount of money and a little more pours in, something in that internal regulator pulls it right back down again. You might get that surprise check in the mail, and the next day you get the surprise bill in the mail, and all of a sudden that found money is gone. So what I'm going to suggest to you is right now, maybe what we have in there as what we call enough is the basics. I can pay my rent, I can pay internet, clothes, electricity, health costs, and a little bit of food on the table. That's all I got. What I'm going to suggest to you is, instead of every time we start to get a little more money than I need to cover those things, and then it ends up disappearing from us before we can use it, let's redefine our definition of enough. How about we go ahead and say, hey, my definition of enough includes dining out, a new car, and a vacation once a year. And work on that. Drill that into your head over and over again. Meditate on it. Pound it into your head until it becomes muscle memory. And what you're saying is it's not enough until I'm dining out, have a car, and a vacation once a year. And challenge those old beliefs that have been planted on you since you were 7 years old. And then once those are embedded and you're ready to go, pop another few things in your definition of enough. Add an emergency fund. Add entertainment. Go ahead and do it. Redefine that as enough. Build that into your psyche. And then take it another level and add college savings and a second home and retirement savings. And all of a sudden, your enough has been redefined. And sure, you're still bouncing around that same water level. The water level hasn't necessarily raised. You've just redefined what's in the water. That is our tip for you. That is how we're going to reset that thermostat. That's how we're going to start to flip all of these ideas on their head. So let's go back through that list of expressions that we heard. We're going to start to, instead of addressing things as money doesn't grow on trees, hey folks, there is so much money out there that when it runs out, we print more. Trillions and trillions of dollars out there in the ecosphere. It is abundant. And when it runs out, we print more. So no, it doesn't grow on trees, but frankly, it might as well because it's always going to be there. Let's take that's highway robbery and say that, look, selling value in exchange for money is just an exchange of energy. All we're doing is selling value for money. Nobody's going to pay for something that they don't value as much as you value the money you might be getting for selling it. Let's take we're not made of money and say you're right. We're made of feelings and energy. And feelings and energy are what we do to create things to generate our wealth. Let's take the old we need to tighten our belts and say, hey, we get to make choices with money. However much of it we have, we get to make choices. It's a thing just like energy that we get to choose with. I don't have two dimes to rub together. All right, well, why would we want to rub dimes together anyway? That's a throwaway for me. I never quite knew what that meant or why it mattered. Born with a silver spoon in their mouth. It's that thing that all of those sayings kind of made us look down on or disrespect people who had money and automatically assume that they were bad or going to use power to corrupt. Let's face it, money doesn't corrupt people. Money amplifies whatever a person is already. A good person is going to be an amplified rich good person, and a bad person is going to be an amplified rich bad person. But let's think about this, and instead of saying luck is a bad thing, recognize that luck is actually the intersection between opportunity and preparation. If you put a ton of preparation into something and the right opportunity happens to cross that path, those two together make your luck. Call it luck, but it's not bad. You've spent a lot of time preparing for it, and you deserve that quote unquote luck as much as anybody else. And money is the root of all evil? No. Money is the currency of trust and value. It's how we tell each other and speak to each other to say, oh, what you have is worth this to me. Not what you have is worth something in and of itself. It's worth something to me. And here is the currency of trust that I'm going to give you for that value. Once we flip all that on its head, I want you to do this exercise because this is what broke it loose for me. And I'm going to tell you a little story as well. But let's start with, what is your very first money memory? Think back way far to when you were, I don't know how far you can remember. I can go back to about 6, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. What is that first money memory for you? And I'm going to tell you what mine was. Here's confession time. I was a little thief. I stole money. If it was out and about, sitting in a purse, sitting in a piggy bank, sitting on top of a table, I determined at the ripe old age of 7 or 8 years old that it was mine to take. And whatever I had wasn't giving me enough, so I had to go grab that and take it. I was a little thief. How I stopped that is another story for another day. But I want you to think about your story, whatever it is, and how it might be influencing your thermostat set point today. And I'm going to tell you how my story was, and I didn't even know it. There was a certain amount of money I made in corporate that I couldn't bounce past no matter what. I could get the bigger job, the money would still be the same. I would think I was going to get a certain bonus. It didn't come. Whatever happened, I was trapped at this particular level of income. So somebody took me through an exercise similar to this, the first part of it anyway. I extended it to what I'm talking about now. And I went and figured out how much money I had stolen during my little period of thievery, which was about, I don't know, over 2 years. And I figured how much money I had probably taken from people as the young thief. And I am reformed, I swear. I reformed at the ripe old age of 9, I believe, because I was blamed for something I didn't do. That set me straight. But I clearly was ashamed of this thievery my entire life until, quite frankly, I was about 56 years old and somebody helped me think through this. And I thought about how it might be influencing my thermostat set point. And I said, I wonder if I took that money that I had stolen way back in the 70s and invested it in the stock market, what it would be worth today. And let me tell you, this is no joke. When I figured it out, it was exactly the amount that my thermostat was set at. It was exactly how much money I was limited in making. I was never getting above it. So a coach of mine challenged me to actually make a Facebook post and confess the thievery. I was a CFO for people. I was an accountant for people. I'd been terrified to tell them that I'd been a little thief 50 years ago. But they pushed me through it. I made the post. The interesting thing were the responses. If you actually go back in my Facebook feed, you can see it. But the big impact was a big ho-hum. So what? Stuff's happened. I let it go in that Facebook post and with those responses. And sure enough, right after that is when my own business began to take off beyond what my previous income level had been. So go back and find that first money memory, anything that might be tainted about money in your memory. And then I want you to think about what is your current income level and is it currently, enough? Is it currently keeping you bobbing along right at that ocean level? And if so, what's included in your current definition of enough? What are you going to add? And then I want you to spend the next week, every single day, whatever, 1, 2, or 3 things you're going to add to your definition of enough. And I want you to drill them into your head as a mantra. Enough includes, boom, boom, boom. Enough includes my vacation. Enough includes, enough includes, enough includes. Because even then, if you can't shake all of the bad information you got about what money actually is, you'll be retraining your brain with your own beliefs and thoughts about money. And it is okay to have money, and it is okay to redefine what enough is for you. Let's trick your brain. That's exercise number 1. That is thing 1. That takes care of shame. We're putting it on the side, and we are not going to let it kryptonite your success in business. Let's go to thing number 2. Thing number 2 is the O, is overwhelm. We're going to go through the second thing you can do to bust through this second obstacle. I'm going to give you the SOB method to cure overwhelm, which you may think stands for something, but we'll get to that in a minute. So what are some of the symptoms of overwhelm as a business owner? As a business owner, some of the symptoms of overwhelm include, I've let this go too long. I don't even know where to start. I don't know who to trust. Folks, this is your money. This is your personal finances. We just talked about the stories we all have around them. You don't know who to trust with your money and to let see that very vulnerable side of you. Often comes across as many clients I've received going, I want to kill my bookkeeper. None of this ever makes sense to me. It never will make sense. And then there's this box you have where you may have shoved all your receipts. And that box is starting to overflow at the edges because at some point this year, you're going to have to go through that box and sort it down between personal and business receipts. And sooner or later, maybe that box starts to turn into something looking like this. I don't know, maybe. Any takers? Raise your hand yes in the comments if you may have let your box of receipts get a little too big. And then ultimately, potentially because of overwhelm and because of what that does to it, it paralyzes us. And some of the things that are so important about being in business and actually being in any of our countries, we might not file our taxes, we might not pay our taxes, and that can be stymieing to a business. So these are some of the symptoms. If you felt any of these, you felt overwhelmed about your finances. So let's talk about this SOB method. Unfortunately, it's not as exciting as you might have thought. It's very simple. We're going to take the 3 first steps up the mountain of financial organization. We're going to separate, we're going to organize, and we're going to build. So let's separate first. What do I mean here? Okay, I'm going to issue my first directive. If you're on this call, please pledge to me that you will separate your personal and your business bank accounts, okay? And use a separate credit card for the business, okay? Now, best practice is, sure, you set up a company, you register it with the state. There are easy ways to do that online. But look, second best, and it's not even bad, is just set up a separate personal account that you use just for the business. Set up a separate personal checking account, separate personal credit card for use in the business. Bring all your money into that account, spend all your expenses out of those accounts. So why? Okay, why is this important? Well, it makes you take this business seriously. And if you're going to build a business that's going to lead to your personal financial success, you need to take the business seriously. Now, if your business is a hobby, it's fine. Keep them combined. It's not a big deal. You can always figure it out in the end. But if it's not a hobby, I need you to take this seriously and make a promise with me to separate that. And if you're willing to do that, please drop it in the comments. I promise you that there are ways to still send money back and forth in between the business and your personal accounts. But what's so important is right now, or at the beginning, you may be paying into your business. There comes a point where your business starts paying you, and the psychological impact of that on your momentum is massive. So instead of just letting it get lost in the haze of one blended checking account, one blended credit card, let's give you the benefit of seeing clearly how much your business is contributing to you. And until that point, knowing very clearly what you're contributing to your business so that you can positively understand that investment. Also, it's going to eliminate what I call the ostrich syndrome, which is the year-end syndrome, which has to do with that box I showed you. You put your head in the ground all year, and then the whole month of December or January is spent getting things ready for your tax accountant, and that is chaos. You have to pull out that box of receipts. You have to answer a bunch of questions that you can't figure out. You don't know if this lunch or dinner was for business or personal, so you're just stuck with the box, and we call that ostrich syndrome. We want to definitely pull your head out of the sand, let's say. All right, biggest thing too, it sets you up for step 2. What's step 2? We're going to organize things for you. So here's the drill, guys. Tap into the gold mine of an online bookkeeping tool. There are so many reasons to do this, and we'll get to them in the why, but they automate everything for you. You don't have to have paper anymore. This isn't just for accountants, these bookkeeping tools. It allows you to set up your business in your language, call your accounts anything you want to. And what is the best practice? Sure, the best practice is to get a real bookkeeper, but if you do that, screen them carefully. We'll get to that a little bit later. But why do you want to do this? It automates everything for you. It brings in all the transactions off your credit card without you ever having to type anything down or put them in an Excel sheet for an accountant. And you don't have to keep receipts anymore. You'll take a little snapshot of a receipt, press a button, and it's going to go find the right transaction, match up to it, and be saved forever online. And in both Canada and the US, you don't need to have those paper receipts anymore. So you're not going to have that drawer full of useless paper sitting there piling up on you. You're also not going to wonder how much money you have or don't, because number one, you've separated it out into personal and business accounts, and now you're going to have reporting every single day, week, or month, however frequently you want it, on how much money you actually have. And here's the coolest thing, if you've ever been pulling those numbers together for your accountant. At the end of the year, taxes are a button click. You literally just give your tax accountant access to your QuickBooks or your Xero or your FreshBooks, and boom, they jump right in and create your tax account and file your taxes. It's a piece of cake. And not only that, it sets you up for step 3, which brings out the artist in all of us. So never let it say that an accountant is not also an artist. This sets you up to really be able to understand your business model and keep track of it separately. What do I mean by understand your business model? I mean, draw a little something here with me. So over here on the left of the house, we have kind of the resources that go in to what you do to make your special sauce. We've got your experience. your product from vendors and suppliers, or if you've got copy people doing things for you, your contractors, your employees, your cash. The questions we ask around these researches is how much do I spend on them? And how do I get them to me? Are they electronic? Are they physical people? Do we work in a physical location? Do we work virtually? I want you to understand the answers to all these questions. And one of the bonuses we're going to talk about later is actually has a whole form set for you to fill this out for your business. So this is the stuff that goes into your business. And then once you're inside your house, you work your magic cauldron, you create your special sauce, and then you send it out the other door to your customers. You provide either a product or a service to your customers. And the types and groups of customers, how you price, how you type and group your products and services, how you deliver your products and services. There are a whole bunch of questions around that you understand. You know all this stuff already. This is going to allow you to put it down on a piece of paper so that you can understand the most important thing, which is you see your resources flowing through your house out to your customers from left to right on this page, while money flows in the opposite direction. Your cash comes in from your customers. So understanding what your customers are, what your products are, how you price them lets you understand how much cash you're going to get into the house. And then understanding how much you're going to have to spend and when to pay your employers is where your money goes. So this is the business model you want to have in your head. And if you think about this, down below is how you understand your business. Up above is how your financials explain your business and tell your business story. So the power of this business model is that it lets you know your business stories by the number, because if you can draw it, we can create the financial model to represent it. And it gives you the ability to ask and answer the really key questions, which are when and how to hire the right people at the right time, how to understand and optimize your pricing, how to drive profit, how to make the best use of your personal cash, energy, and time, and how to grow the value of your business so that you can feed those personal financial goals without ever backsliding on your lifestyle. Okay? It's not saying you have to improve it. If you want to, you can, but you don't want to backslide on your lifestyle. That's how we get through obstacle number 2 is building and understanding our business model. So here's a thing to think about on that customer side of things. Do you have a customer today that you would shed if you had more confidence in your finances? We call them PETA customers. Those of you who know what PETA stands for know that one of the things I'll often do now that I'm able to have that confidence is apply a PETA tax. You can do that as well. So think about what it would feel like to shed that customer who drives you the most crazy. And clearly my puppy wants to help you do that. Okay, so we've taken care of shame. We have taken care of overwhelm. Now we're going to jump into the most insidious obstacle of all. And that, my friends, is fear. And fear is probably one that stops the most people from getting into the finances in their business, period. And what is fear when we really dive into it? Fear is almost always of the unknown. It's kind of, if I don't see it, it can't hurt me. If we've got that door closed in front of us and I don't know what's on the other side of it, I'm going to actually always stay in fear of it. But if I, at some point, open that door, then I can actually deal with the thing. So what happens with fear is when we actually open the door, when we actually get a line of sight into what's out there that we're worrying about, when we actually see whether it's a kitty cat or a tiger, then we shift into action mode. If it's a kitty cat, we go, oh, it's a kitty cat. Unless we're scared of cats, then we go crazy. But if it's a lion or a tiger, it's okay. We shift out of fear as well, because now we shift into adrenaline mode and we do something about it. If we never open the door, if we stay in fear, we can never deal with the thing that might be beyond that door. Great upside, it might be nothing. Better upside, okay upside is it might be something, but now I can actually deal with it. Because while we've got that door closed, we're dealing with this gray cloud syndrome, that thing that follows us around everywhere. And it shows itself in every interaction with every client that we might be trying to win over on the phone. They know it. They feel that energy. with every employee we might be talking to, with every decision that we make around whether we should even hire employees. It's there. We go to bed with it. We wake up with it. So how do we open that door? So I don't know if you all remember this game board in the background, Chutes and Ladders. For all my Canadians, you very weirdly called it Snakes and Ladders, which to me is frightening. But in this game, the snakes and the chutes were the obstacles. If you remember, you could hit a slide and go all the way back down to the bottom. But on the other hand, you could hit the bottom of a ladder and shoot all the way up to the end game. The fear was in the fact it wasn't fear, it was a game. But when we rolled those dice as kids, we had no idea what those dice were going to do, where we were going to land. But if we actually did have a line of sight into where those ladders and obstacles were, we could see that path, we'd have the ability to act. We'd have the ability to avoid a slide or accelerate and get ourselves to a ladder. So here's the thing. What is the line of sight in our finances? In our finances, the line of sight is a forecast. We know what our goal is out here at the top of the board. We know we want to get up there to the step 100. And a line of sight allows us to draw the path we want to follow to take advantage of every single ladder that we can, and yet get rid of every single obstacle that we might hit. Okay, so here's the thing, and here's what's really cool. I'll tell you that the gift that we're giving you at the end of this webinar, just for hanging in here, regardless of what you do, just for hanging in here, you're going to get this gift, is the ability to do that forecast, to open that door and see what's out there, and give you the ability to play with it, to change those circumstances, to accelerate some decisions or slow some decisions down so that you don't trip over them. And all of that you can do in 15 minutes. And this freebie we're going to give you at the end of this webinar is going to allow you to do that. And it's also going to give you instructions on how to use it. And actually, the instructions on how to use it are probably 5 minutes longer than how long it's going to take you each week to actually use the tool. And separate little quirk, everybody who's used that tool has found money in their business as well. So when this happens to you, what's going to be who is going to be your next hire or your next investment when you actually build that forecast out, spending 15 minutes a week, and you have the confidence in your forecast that you can support and afford what you need next? Who's going to be your next hire? What's going to be your next investment? Go ahead and drop that in the chat for us so that we know what you're building towards. We've made some serious tracks, folks. We have knocked 3 out of the 4 out of the park. And now we are on thing number 4, which is time. Who out here is not busy? Every single one of us is swamped, and we do not have time for stuff. Ain't nobody got time for this. If we are spending time on it, it better bring value. And right now, this manifests itself typically for entrepreneurs as, look, what I'm being handed about my numbers makes absolutely no sense. I know it's wrong, and I just want you to show me where my money went. So we take those reports we get each month or each week or whatever, and we shove them in the drawer and we go, okay, I'll look at it next month. I know it's important. It nags at you. It's in that gray cloud that you've got, but it goes in the drawer. And next month it goes in the drawer again, and next month again. And then next thing you know, you've got this. Very similar to the box situation. So here's a tip for you. I will agree with you. Any sheet of numbers that you get alone will never make sense to you and will always be a waste of your time. So you're right to shove it in the drawer. You're probably wondering, well, Pam, that helps a lot. How do I deal with this? Well, there is a way. But I will tell you this again, and you can tell your bookkeeper or your accountant, any sheet of numbers alone is never going to make sense to me and will always be a waste of my time. But what changes it? Context. And how many contexts are there? Only 2. There's the context of time, looking at your numbers over time, and there's the context of looking at your numbers versus your expectations. And I'm going to tell you why those become so critical to you. Those become the things that let your numbers all of a sudden tell the story about the business you just drew in the last segment. So let's just say that we're going to take a very basic, what's called a profit and loss statement. All that is something that shows how much money you brought in a month, how much money went out in a month, and how much is left at the end. So very simply, you take your revenue, that's your incoming money, you subtract your expenses, that's your outgoing money, and you're left with net income. Now, they're much more detailed than this. You have a lot of lines under each one of these. But if all you get in a month is a piece of paper, say for July, that says You had 25 coming in, you had 10 going out, you had 15 left over. That is the biggest so what use of your time I have ever heard. But if you tell your bookkeeper this, here is your thing number 3. Tell your bookkeeper you want to always have a rolling 12-month profit and loss statement. You can create these in all of these bookkeeping systems I've told you about, because now here's what happens. Now all of a sudden I can look at September and October and say, holy cow, I lose money in September and October. What's going on there? Oh, I service moms with kids. They're getting their kids back to school. They're not paying any attention to me. Maybe I need to change my marketing a little in that time frame, or maybe I need to take a vacation. It allows you now, because you can see it in the context of time, to play with some of your business levers that you have control about. We connect each one of these things to a business lever, and we can now see what it's actually doing in our business. Let's move forward to March and April. And you can see here, oh my gosh, we're at a loss. And because we've got this in the context of time, you can say, wow, look at my expenses. They're going from 5 to 6 to 8 to 10. What the heck's going on? And then you go, oh yeah, that's because I'm driving my revenue up to whole new levels here, 20 and 25, so that my new net income number starts to shine. Well, now with just one tiny little change that you're going to make with your reporting, you have been able to now take your numbers and translate them into the story of your business and make good, confident decisions about what's actually happening in your business, instead of just looking at that July column alone. So what's the second expectation? Context, comparing things to your expectations. So again, take the example, just getting a piece of paper that says, I made 12, I spent 5, my leftover was 7. It means nothing to you. But if going into the month you said, hey, I kind of think I know what I want to do this month. I'm going to sell 4 things for $12, and I'm going to spend $10 to do it, and that's going to leave me 2. And then when your July actually happens, you sell those 12 things. Sure enough, yay, I did it. But you actually end up spending less than you thought. So you had you were better than you thought by $5 in your net income. Now you understand why. You can go back and say, hey, why did that cost me less than it should? It could be a number of things, but it could show you something like, oh yeah, that bill's not coming till next month. Or it could show you something like, oh yeah, we got some real cost savings from that vendor, and now it's showing itself in my numbers, and I can see that it's going to trend the way that I want it to when I look in my overall profit and loss statement. So that's how we compare it to expectations. So here's the thing. If you knew your business had a reliable pattern of cash flow because you've now seen it in the context of time and expectations, what's the very first thing you would stop doing for yourself in your business? Just want you to think of that for a minute and then drop it in the comments if you've got a thought on that. Because these are the decisions you can start to make when you make these few small changes. So we've done it. We've taken care of shame because we've changed our definition of enough, and we've recognized that our story is no worse, better, or even ready to be compared to anybody else's. We've taken care of overwhelm by giving you the SOB method to get your stuff separated, organized, and that picture of your business built so that your finances can reflect how you understand your business. We've taken care of your fear by opening the door and giving ourselves a line of sight with a forecast. And we've taken care of time by making sure that anything we look at is in a context that lets us tell our story our way. So we've done it. So here's the thing. All of these things can be implemented by you. But would you like to have a guide to get you off of this financial treadmill, to get off of this yellow line, to lead you through the further details of how to move past these first 4 steps, to jump the line and get in the winning column? How long are you prepared to wait to get on that line is what I need to ask you today. And I ask you take all 4 of these things we've just taught you and you put them in place today. Because remember, you're here, you showed up today, even though you're incredibly busy for a very specific reason. Maybe you're restless. You're tired of always feeling like the other financial shoe is going to drop. And that energy is showing up in every conversation, every decision, and every interaction that you have. Maybe you're a little bit uncertain. You know you want to make a bold move in your business, but because you don't have confidence in your finances, because you can't see the impact it's going to have, you've been scared to take that leap. Maybe you feel stuck. Your business isn't making enough money to consistently and you're not really sure what the best move is. Maybe you want more. You're intrigued by the thought that you would actually spend a little bit of time to set this business of yours up to provide the personal financial freedom that you want without having to learn accounting and bookkeeping jargon, but just by becoming 100% CEO or leader of your business. So there's a couple options as I see it. Two, one, you don't commit to becoming that 100% CEO. You're in the same place a year from now in a big open loop, and you're no closer to your goal of personal financial freedom and confidence. And if this is a hobby for you, that is a fine option. Option two is that you actually start building a business to support your personal financial freedom this year. You remove that soft gray cloud once and for all this year, and you 100% commit to becoming 100% CEO because it's time. It's time for this business to support you financially. So what we're doing here today is inviting you to join the Profit Path Club. What is the Profit Path Club? Well, look, every year there are entrepreneurs that are learning to build successful businesses, and those businesses do support their personal financial freedom. I have worked in and for those businesses now for 35 years, and I know what the path is to get there, and I know what the tools are to get there. We have constructed this into something called the Profit Path. We have used it with our individual customers now and clients for over 3 years, and it has been successful over and over again. But in addition, we want to give you the opportunity to think about learning this in a community of like-minded entrepreneurs who are all committed to the same thing under the guidance of a finance professional who is also an entrepreneur. Making financial understanding for entrepreneurs a fun and profitable adventure is the whole reason I created the club. If you know me at all, you know that my big goal is to have 1,000 faces on a Zoom screen saying at the same time, finance is fun. Because with every single client we work with one-on-one, that's exactly where we get to. Finance is fun. I have had every marketing person in the world tell me that this is absolutely the wrong thing to say, and it'll turn people off, but I don't care. We can make finance fun for you, because when you know how it moves your levers, when you know how you connect it to your personal financial goals, it is fun and it's profitable. So it's the whole reason I created the club. Sorry, I get a little excited there. So what's included in this club thing? So in the Profit Path, there are 9 key entrepreneur level tools and concepts. And I say entrepreneur level because we are not going to be teaching you bookkeeping in details. These are built for entrepreneurs, for people running businesses. They are concepts, and each concept has a tool, and each one is taught by me live in individual lessons. And then we're going to have training and guided implementation of those tools, working with you, putting them into place in your business at whatever stage of the Profit Path journey you're on. And we are going to help you discover, we are going to discover with you where you are on the Profit Path journey. In addition to that, you're going to get weekly support in a variety of ways, all of them live on Zoom, Q&A sessions, live member spotlight sessions, where if you want to, no pressure, but if you want to, you can raise your hand and say, I'm wrestling with a very specific thing, and we will tackle that problem for you 100% over an hour live member spotlight session and give everybody the benefit of the learning there. We'll have office hours, and we'll have expert guests to hit on other topics like, now that I'm building this personal wealth, what do I do with it? Or how do I minimize my taxes and maximize my individual wealth? Other things like that as well. What else is included? Each of the 9 tools and concepts is going to be customized to where you are in the journey. And there are 4 stages in the journey, 4 things that we pay attention to as we move through building a business from nothing up into something that supports our personal financial freedom. We really start around revenue, on selling what we have to sell and seeing if we can do it, seeing if we can get money in the door for it. Then we look at cash flow. Okay, I got to spend some money to keep doing this, to scale it a little bit, to make it work. So we focus on making sure that the cash flow works in the business, that it fits your business model. Then we have the luxury of looking at profitability. Where is the best use of your time? Where is the best use of your money? Which of those things returns the most to you? So that we can be focused on that 4th phase, which is contributing to the building of your personal wealth. Your business needs to be a contributor to that. And we walk you through exactly how to make it do just that, tie it to those personal financial goals. You're going to be somewhere along this spectrum. I have worked with people at every step along this spectrum with the profit path journey to move them on to the next steps. So whether you're a brand new entrepreneur who's waiting to build that business or just getting into building that business that's going to support your personal financial freedom, or maybe you're converting it from a hobby into a business you can rely on, or you might be an experienced business owner. A number of my clients are up in the 8 figures already, but they want to expedite their way to having getting back an abundance of time, energy, and wealth for themselves so that they can relax a little bit and do other things. The Profit Path Club is going to get you there on that green line we talked about with ease and our full support. And I will tell you, not just a little bit of fun, because that's how we do things here. So what happens if you register for the club? Number one, you get access to the private members group, and you're going to get starter materials. We're going to get you classified. Where are you on this thing? What do we want to start you with? What's going to be the most beneficial thing to get you moving right out of the gate? You're going to get the live monthly training by yours truly. You're going to get weekly support of that training and the implementation in your business via Q&As, member spotlights, expert session, and facilitated office hours. And we mix a lot of fun into those as well. And then you'll have access to the general materials as long as you're a member, but you will have lifetime access to any of the tools that end up getting personalized for you while you're with us on the journey. And the best results, this is important to know, are going to really require members to dedicate no more than an hour or two a week to work on each month's material. So look, an hour or two a week, guys, on the finances in your business. If your business is intended to drive your personal financial freedom, is not a huge contribution. I'm hoping what you're going to find when you realize how much fun finance is that you're going to dedicate more than that to accelerate yourself along the path. But 1 to 2 hours a week is all you need to take full advantage of this membership. Okay. So is it right for you? Now you're sitting here going, well, is this right for me or not? Let me tell you who it's right for, and then we'll tell you who it's not right for. So the Profit Path Club is right for people who really want to upgrade their relationship with the money in their business. And in doing that, have a judgment-free zone to ask and learn what you may think is a stupid question, but I promise you is not, and that there are 9 or 10 other people out there wanting to ask the same thing, and be able to learn without getting a bookkeeper answer or an accountant answer. You want to get ongoing, gentle yet firm coaching for becoming a financially successful entrepreneur. And you want to have full-time access to a CFO, a bookkeeper, and a tax accountant for support, where you can ask ongoing Q&A and a Facebook group as much as you want. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of Ryan and Rebecca, names changed to protect the innocent, but one a client and one just somebody I had a phone call with about the Profit Path. Ryan took our financial forecast and put it in place, and he had just had the conversation with his wife about Christmas and said that he wasn't going to be able to take Christmas Eve off to travel with the family. He was just going to have to pop in on Christmas Day at the family event and then pop back out. And it was not going well in their marriage over that particular issue. But he sat down and he did the financial forecast that you're actually going to have access to here at the end of this event. It was a 12-week forecast. And when he was finished, he said, oh my God, my pipeline is full enough and I have enough active work here that I can take the whole month of December off and not need to make anything up until April. So he knew he'd have 4 months after December to get back up that curve again. And so I like to say, hey, finance saves marriages, because in his particular case, that's what it did. Rebecca already had a very successful $1 million business, just over $1 million. She is a current client with us today, but this woman is exhausted. It's all her. And because she at one point, not 10 years ago, was literally living in a car, was not ready or able to have any confidence in the ongoing money-making ability of this beautiful machine that she built. So we took her through the Profit Path. We took her through all of it, including building this picture, including putting all the tools in place. And she actually was able to say to me, you know, not only am I ready to hire the next person and I can see that I can support it for however long I need to, but we're ready to sell this house living in a state we don't necessarily want to live in and go buy a new one in Texas. This is a person who was homeless 10 years ago. This stuff makes a difference when we start paying attention to it. So that's who it's right for. Who's it not right for? People who just kind of want to kick the tires around this. If you're not really interested in building this business, you can't part-time it. You can't part-time going from a hobby to a business that's going to feed your personal financial freedom. So if it's a kick the tires thing, it's not for those people. It's not for entrepreneurs thinking of their business as hobbies. Hobbies are great, but that's not what this is for. And it's not happy for those who are content with the yellow line. We all know there are a lot of folks that like the quick ups and downs of life and the adrenaline that brings. This isn't necessarily for them. We want to smooth that out for people. So here's what I want to do so that you can really consider why it's important to jump on this today. We've set up 3 bonuses that are designed to specifically address where we know people get stuck and help you build your business easier and faster. Because we've done this for so many people with this profit path, we know where the places are that their feet get kind of mired in the mud. So we're going to do these 3 things, and I'm going to talk about them in detail. But the first is you're going to get 3 hours with one of our profit path bookkeepers. These are the elite of the elite bookkeepers. You're going to get a hard copy of my best-selling book, Your First CFO, The Accounting Cure for Small Business Owners, which tons of people have read now and said, oh my God, I've never thought finance could be this easy and yes, even fun. And you're going to get access to one of our lessons from the whiteboard, which I'm going to talk to you about here in a second. So let's go through these one at a time. Bonus number 1, 3 free hours with a Profit Path bookkeeper. So if you've ever struggled with the bookkeeping in your business, or you kind of don't know where to start even with the bookkeeping business, you're still kind of keeping it in that box of receipts, you don't know who to trust, this bonus is going to give you the clarity you're after here. You can use that 3 hours however you want. I will tell you that as a member of the Profit Path Club, I'm going to advise you and the bookkeeper that we assign to you on what I think you should be working on based on what I learn about you when you join the club. What's going to get you the most acceleration towards where we want to get you on this profit path to building the business that supports your financial freedom. Any number of things can happen in this 3 hours. We can actually work on your books for you in whatever system you have. We can explain the current reports that you're getting, that your current bookkeeper or you are doing, and you really kind of want to know what to do with this information. We can identify areas for improvement for you and show you how to implement them. Or you may say, you know what? I haven't done my bookkeeping at all. Please just get this set up for me. Use your 3 hours to get as much set up as you can. So you're going to have access to this as soon as you complete your registration. And this is a game changer. This is a boost right out of the gate that just gets you over one of those humps that just keeps people paralyzed. Bonus number 2, one of my favorites, hard copy of my book. So you're probably wondering how on earth we make financial understanding for entrepreneurs a fun and profitable adventure, which is what we do, both in Profit Path and for all of our one-on-one clients. So in this book, I outline a step-by-step how it's done in plain entrepreneur speak. So the important thing here is that after you read this book, you're going to know exactly what you need to know to set up your business to generate personal financial freedom, but also only what you need to know. You don't need to know bookkeeping. You don't need to know tax accounting. You need to know what questions to ask. You need to know how to hire the people you need, and you need to know what to expect of them. And that's what you get out of this book. That's number 2. But we're not done. But wait, there's more. Bonus number 3, you get free access to our lessons from the whiteboard series. So there's this set of questions. They're kind of random all over the place, but every single entrepreneur that I've worked with, including myself, has faced these issues one time or another. There are, I believe, 10 of them, or 8 of them. It's either 8, 10 minutes or 10, 8 minutes. I can't remember now. But they are quick lessons on very specific topics and questions that have just come up so consistently. You can almost consider it an FAQ, or a frequently asked questions kind of lesson from the whiteboard, where we're going to show you with a picture, with images, what the answers are, covering things like customer lifetime value, exchange rates, how to build a business model, those sorts of things. So you're going to get all of those questions answered that we know are going to come up in your business at one time or the other, because they've come up with all of our clients. So that's your 3 bonuses. And here's the thing. we're going to give you a 100% money back guarantee on this. So we know Profit Path works, and it's historically been restricted to one-on-one clients. And it's worked for over 100 one-on-one business owners. And I know it's going to work for you in this club. It already is working in this club. But I know there are a ton of too good to be true, fly-by-night offers out there, and that you really need to carefully choose who you're going to learn from, especially with things as critical as the finances in your business. So that's why I've included this guarantee. Try the Profit Path Club. If it's not absolutely everything that I say it is and more, and you don't feel like I've delivered, ask for a refund of the most recent month you've paid for, and this guarantee is going to hold for 60 days after your original registration. So you'll get a full 8 weeks of stuff with us. You'll get 8 weeks down the path, and you'll know if this is right for you or not right for you. So full money back guarantee. Then, here's the other alternative. And it's not necessarily a bad one. You can do this yourself. You could take the bookkeeping course. I will tell you that you're only going to, unless you're a bookkeeper by nature or you've had some accounting background, you're only going to learn enough to get frustrated with how much time it takes to maintain when it's not your superpower. Okay? If it is your superpower, have at it. The other option you have is to hire a generic bookkeeping or accountant solution, kind of cold call from Google or Facebook or a reference, and it works, but you just got to keep in mind that you're going to be paying for generic reports. You're going to get generic reports, and you may or may not get a monthly check-in from whoever this is. I've seen way too many entrepreneurs. Unfortunately, they call me after this has already happened, and we have to help them out of it. But way too many of them actually get held hostage, both emotionally and financially, by bookkeepers and tax accountants who use their perceived power of information to intimidate clients. And these accountants and bookkeepers has very often either never gained the skills or have fallen behind on the skills that they should be using to serve their clients. And they use ghosting and veiled threats to really hang on to them as clients. I had a client like this just signed with us recently, and her bookkeeper actually had only used QuickBooks Desktop and totally had her deliver by hand in a folder, hand-carried paperwork to him physically in his office, and essentially led her to believe that anybody else that she talked to about this would be leading her down a rabbit hole, and that, you know, she had to stay with him or. And the truth of the matter is, you know, we got her unraveled for that very quickly. We helped deal with her not wanting to confront him directly. We helped her get unraveled from that situation. I would love to tell you this is the only person in the 100 or so clients that we've dealt with where this has happened, but I have seen this way more than once, and it should not happen, but that can happen when you hire sort of a generic accounting solution. So here's the scoop. I don't think you should have to do this yourself. I think you deserve the fastest route to your business serving your personal financial freedom. So what's the investment? Let's cut right down to it. Here's the investment. $250 a month. It's month to month. You can cancel anytime. Or you can get a price break for $2,400, be a member for a full year. No cancellation on that one, but those are your two options. And when you hit the registration link below, you are going to get the option to pick one or the other of those two options. Because here's the thing, you deserve this breakthrough. We want you to make the progress you want in your life. And the only way to do that is to break these soft habits, these SOFT habits. And in the club, we're going to be with you the entire process, step by step. We have your back while you build the business that supports your personal financial freedom. If you follow our lead, you will make progress. You're going to jump the line. You're going to jump from that bottom red up to the green here early on right now. And that's why I'm able to guarantee it, because I know that it works. And here, another quick thing here, timing on this. This deal we're making in this webinar is exclusive to those of you who've watched this masterclass, but we're going to cap the founding members in this club at 30. So this particular offer at this price with these bonuses is going to go away when we hit 30 members. So I suggest, if this sounds appealing to you, because it's a full money back guarantee and you are sure to be in as a founding member, getting all the advantages of being a founding member, Be sure to register now so that you can have access to this pricing and this bonus package. Don't want you to come back 6 months later and be paying what will be the new rate at that point for the club. So get in there fast and get yourself one of these first 30 slots. They're going pretty quickly. So just a reminder here, if you're an entrepreneur and you're feeling overwhelmed on that treadmill, if you're really kind of struggling to expedite your way to where you have some abundance of time and energy and wealth to spend as you choose, if both the mindset stuff and the technical stuff is getting in your way of that, it's totally normal. We've all been through it. For most of us, in fact, the biggest challenge is trying to manage finances on top of all the other responsibilities we have. That's why what we do with the Profit Path Club and with the Profit Path Journey is we integrate it right into your business smoothly, so that instead of slowing you down and taking extra time, right, we make sure that the finances in your business amplify the time you invest everywhere else. That's why it's so important. Life's an ongoing competition for your time and attention, so we really need to make sure that your finances aren't part of that competition, but that they're making all the rest of the competition for your time quieter and easier. So, what's important in your life right now? What exactly do you want to achieve in the months ahead? Think about that for a minute. Knowing how to build a business that's going to really ensure your personal financial freedom is going to give you exactly what you're after. Whether it's wealth, energy, time, some combination of those three, you need an abundance of those in order to live your full life. So how long have you been waiting to accomplish that abundance? I know I waited way too long. You can right now turn your business into what you know you always dreamed it would be. And how many times have finances been pushed to the back burner? And how many times have finances been the thing that prevented you from breaking through? You've got an opportunity to do something about that right now, today. Here's the thing. Dealing with uncertainty is tough. You may wonder, am I really even capable of making money? That's completely normal. And in the Profit Path, we know and acknowledge that. My own story included a few runs at, I think I'll just go back to the 9 to 5. I'm sure yours occasionally has done that as well if you came from corporate. At Profit Path, we're not just focusing on the tactical bits of business ownership, but equally as important, those energetic bits that are part of every single entrepreneur. So do it now. Register for the Profit Path Club. Get in here as one of the first 30 founding members. We're waiting for you on the other side of this. We're waiting for you inside the club, and we'd really like to have you join us. Now, you might still be wondering if the club's for you. And don't worry. Right after you finish this webinar, we're going to send you an email that's going to recap what's been in here, and we're going to give you a couple of options for inching up to it instead of taking the big leap. And the first is there's an option for a one-on-one Profit Path intro call to me. Normally these are $500 for it, but we'll offer it to you for $97, having a half an hour on the phone with me, and we're going to map out exactly what your path could be, with or without Profit Path. I'm going to find out very quickly what your big pain point is, and we're going to map you out what you need to do to get past that tomorrow. Not a week from now, not a month from now, but tomorrow. In addition, we're also going to offer you, if you'd like to pick up lessons from the whiteboard, you can get a feel for whether the way I teach, what I cover is what you like, how you learn. So you'll have access in that email to click on and get a wildly reduced price for those lessons from the whiteboard that you heard me talk about that are actually going to be part of the Profit Path package. So you get to know me and my teaching style. But now the big celebration, you did it. You hung on until the end. And because you hung on until the end, in that email, you're also going to get the link to this free cash planner. Not only is it a cash planner, which we've talked about why that's so important in your business, but it's easy to use. It's all got the formulas pre-built in it, and there's a very quick video. The video is actually probably longer than it's going to take you to use this particular planner every week. What I promise you on this is a 12-week cash planner, which you can just keep rolling 12 weeks, 12 weeks, 12 weeks. If you use this for 12 weeks, not only will you get an incredibly new understanding of your business and the story that your numbers tell, but you're also going to find money in your business. I promise you that. You're going to find money in your business. If you do this faithfully for the 15 minutes a week that it takes for 12 weeks, you will find money in your business. So you showed up. My dog's thrilled you showed up. We're all cheering for you over here at Priorities Group, and we can't wait to see you on the inside. So look for our email. Thanks for hanging in there. And oh my gosh, you have made it all the way through the Finance Checkmate Masterclass, and I'm so glad you were here, because now we're going to go back through this chat and we're going to make sure we didn't miss any of your important questions. If we see one in there that we didn't get to during the webinar, we are going to reach right back out to you and get you an answer. Have a fantastic day, and congrats on showing up for the finances in your business. I hope we see you on the other side. Take care.